to try to minimize the chance of contracting the disease. So I really don't know. It's a very serious topic, ladies and gentlemen.
There was also a nurse I think she was a nurse's aide in Spain that contracted it, and the Spanish government has, I think they figured out what happened is as she was taking off the clothes and she took off her headgear, she scratched herself on her face, or whatever she did, she touched her face with one of the gloves, I think.
Well, I mean, but I have a question. If she didn't have, let's say, an open wound, would it still transfer?
I don't know. I think there's more to Ebola than they're telling us, or more to Ebola than they know. Now, in Spain, if people remember, there was a dog involved in it also. I'm trying to remember his name. Is X something, and they killed him. They euthanized the dog because he had Ebola. But over here with the nurse in the States, they decided to keep the dog alive and to see what happens, and if he transmits the disease, if the dogs get affected by the same way. And the dog's name in Spain was called Excalibur. And they actually had riots in Spain because of people that were putting him down. They didn't think it was right to put him down.
Well, I mean, we in this country have had that for years with, the research scientists using the use of, dogs and cats and monkeys, for medical purposes. PETA has been trying, but when you stop with the research and you don't you don't use, I mean, it is a terrible thing, yes, but if you don't study the effects on animals, how are you going to eventually come up with vaccines and a cure for humans?
Mm-hmm. Well, they've got other ways of doing it, but they're probably more expensive. But no, the dog was just euthanized, and their Excalibur. And here they decided to, just to see if he can ride it out like humans do, and then he can go back with his family members. Either way, because dogs don't know what's going on. They don't understand. Even though I don't know if anybody watched 60 Minutes. I think it was last week maybe, where they interviewed a gentleman a psychiatrist who has a dog, and he's trained him, and he understands like 2,000 words. And they found that dogs have feelings they didn't realize. You might be interested in this. When a dog looks at you and stares in your eyes, that's the equivalent of giving a hug. When a human being hugs a dog, there's a certain part of the brain that gets stimulated, or another person. And that same part of the brain in the dog is stimulated when he stares at his owner.
When he stares at his own image? When he stares in the mirror?
When he stares at his owner.
Oh, owner.
So they think that, dogs do care for the owners and stuff, and it's not just food.
My our pet Bentley is, as I said, last month he turned 15, and he's very sick. He has an inoperable brain tumor. At this point, I don't even think he can hear anymore, because when we call him and make noise, he doesn't even look to turn around. I know that when he wants to go out, he'll go to the door and bark, which I'm thankful for that at least. And I talk to him, and I hug him, and I kiss him, and I give him love. I just want to try to make him as comfortable as possible. He's been a part of our family for such a long time.
Sure, 15 years is a long time to have anybody. But anyway, as I said, but they did figure that...
You get more understanding, I think, from the dog sometimes than I do from my own family.
That's true.
You
probably do. And he doesn't talk back, neither.
Tell me, Felix, if I was away for a few days and came home, would you wag your tail and run to the door and greet me?
And hump your leg? I don't think so.
No, I didn't go that far, Felix. At 15 years old, I don't think he knows what that is anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's going on here. It seems very quiet today.
Yeah, we haven't even heard a train go by.
Yeah, I know, right? That's true.
And that's amazing.
That is true. So I'm going to go and do what we usually do when it gets a little quiet. Put some noise on. Sometimes,
it's like, let's make some noise.
Sometimes known as music. In my case, it's usually known as noise. I'm looking for something in particular that's probably good to do it. This is a good song to play, even though it's not a... It's really not a religious show, but I want to play something that's very short, and I'd like you to listen to it. This is probably a good time for non-religious people to do this also.
Oh, is this our prayer? Is this Millie?
No.
Oh. The little boy?
Anytime, anywhere I can pray, and Jehovah will hear what I say. When each morning I wake, I remember to take just a moment to thank Him for this day, for the wonders I find on the way. In my mind, in my heart, I can pray, even when there's a crowd and I can't pray out loud. Still Jehovah will hear me anyway. Anytime, anywhere, I can pray, and Jehovah will hear what I say. In the night He will hear when I call. He is near. Anytime, anywhere, I can pray.
I can pray. You can pray. We all can pray. If you believe in God or not, pray that Ebola goes away.
Well, that's something to say. We were talking about atheism and everything. I mean, even if you're an atheist, you hope that they come up with a cure.
It's what's a real shame is I think the government is really misleading us a little bit as to...
Are we on the air or not?
Yes, we're on the air, of course.
I thought we still had the song on.
The song was over a minute ago.
Well, how would I know that?
Do you hear it?
I hear you.
Do you hear the song?
Today's not my night. Don't pick on me.
I asked you to hear the song. No, that's probably over.
Very true.
And you're a doctor of what?
I'm asking myself that also.
Anyway.
Humanities.
Humanities? Well, I'm a doctor of divinity. Whoopee!
I know.
Anyway, let's go back to what I was saying. I forgot what I was saying now, Marc. It's contagious.
You know what I was going to say? I was going to say that when the initial 2 doctors contracted Ebola, okay, they brought them back and they tried that experimental drug, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they had success with it, and what they did was they broke with protocol to try it on them in order to save their lives. Well, if it worked, then why not give it to the nurse in Texas who has contracted the disease? And you say there was somebody in Spain, why not give it to her?
Because I think they're going to see if it gets bad or not.
What they're supposed to do? Wait until they're on death's door?
I don't know. They also tried using the blood with a transfusion of one of them for the second one because he already built up an immune system to help fight it. I think it was the first doctor. They used his blood on the second doctor. But what bothers me is the CDC and everybody was telling us how it's not a problem, it's not contagious.
Oh, initially.
Hmm?
Well, that's what they used to tell the GIs back in the 50s when they were testing nuclear power in Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Agent Orange.
Well, Agent Orange was Vietnam. I know somebody who died from Agent Orange.
But
He was in Vietnam.
Yeah. My whole point is that they, even now, if you heard the report the other day, they broke protocol. They did that. They did that. Well, I'll tell you, the way they're acting, that's extremely contagious disease. They're very contrary to what they said. It's like when they said, if you like insurance, you can keep your insurance. It's the same thing. It's just, you don't know.
No, Felix, you've been down on Obamacare since it came out.
Well,
you know that.
And it's not doing well. It's doing well in Kentucky, actually. That's one thing that girl's got going for her. In North Carolina, and in Kentucky, the woman, it's actually been working out well there. One of the few states where it actually worked. So that gives her,
Yeah, but she doesn't want Obama campaigning for her. She's a Clinton Democrat.
Well, listen, if you look at the approval rating of Obama, he may not be the right person to back people up these days. Now the Republicans say he should go out and back the candidates, that it won't hurt them at all.
Well, what do you expect them to say?
Of course. They want to, of course they want to. But one thing he is doing, he's doing plenty of fundraising. $50,000 a head. Tell me what middle-class person...
The president can still draw a crowd.
Tell me what middle-class person can afford $50,000 for dinner.
It's not a regular person like you and me. It's primarily for businesses.
Yeah. The rich people. That's what's there, and he's supposed to be the president of the people, not the 1%, but the 1% is what goes to his fundraisers, because they know he's going to do things that is going to help them. Look at GE. They don't pay taxes in this country. Why? Who knows? But they've been getting away with it for years.
Well, a lot of the 1%ers don't pay very much in taxes either, for that matter.
Yeah. So, of course, they're going to support Obama.
And it wouldn't make a difference who's president.
Listen, if somebody comes up with a single-tier tax, or a
flat rate,
a flat rate, yeah. Flat rate sales tax or a flat rate income tax, it's going to hurt the rich like crazy. Because then they won't have all the exemptions that they have now. So...
Well, I'm sure it bothers you like it bothers a lot of people that, millionaires and billionaires, if and when they have to pay the same 14 or 20 or 25% that you pay, when it comes to federal income tax. I mean, we're basically in a 28, or at least I'm in a 28% bracket.